speaker is Ketan with Inspiration and Strength from Volunteering.
Right. So I was just thinking about my identity, in terms of what am I, who am I, how do people know me, right? Some of you might know me as the engineer. Some of you might know me as electrical engineer, to be precise, or a Man United fan, someone into football. Yep, all that's true. But there's one tiny bit of aspect of my life that I haven't spoken a lot about, and I thought this would be a nice platform to share, and that's about my volunteering time. All right. So what I'm going to talk about now is essentially about my time in volunteering, how exactly I got into volunteering, why I started doing this, where exactly I have been volunteering, what I've been doing as part of it, and what were my top 3 lessons that I've learned over the years that I'd like to share with all of you over here, right? So I still remember it was 1st July 2017. It's very easy to remember. It was half year gone past, and I woke up. I guess I was hungover at that time. I was just thinking to myself, these 3 questions. Maybe some of you might have thought about them as well at some point in time. It was like, what am I doing with my life, right? How can I spend my time better, right? And I like this concept of knowledge bank, where just as you have a bank with money, there's also something for knowledge. It has to be bi-directional. So you acquire your learnings and then you share with others and you invest in others as well, right? So how do I enrich this knowledge bank of mine? So these were the questions that I was bogged down with. And then in order to answer them, I just started thinking, what were some of the aspects that were interested in, but I didn't probably have the time to do, or I wasn't making enough time for it. I remembered from my undergrad days that people had always said that I'm a nice teacher. So teaching was again something that I was really very passionate about, but somehow I just didn't get that time, or I wasn't maybe making that time in order to go back to teaching. So I reached out to a friend of mine again, who used to volunteer, and that's where I got to know about a non-governmental organization. So this one is called Dream School Foundation. It's based out in India, in Bangalore. So I've been working there, rather volunteering there as a teacher and a mentor. It's been nearly 4 years now, and so the students there are, from the age group of 12 all the way through 22. So we do have small children from the senior higher secondary school, I guess, all the way up to their degree. And they come from really dire socioeconomic conditions, right? So it gets worse. Some of them suffer from domestic abuse. Some of them are highly at risk of dropping out of school. So the challenge really is not just educating them in terms of the academics, but also keeping them engaged with the curriculum and making sure they don't drop out, because then there's a risk of them going down another path, right? So it was more than just the academics there. So it was a lot more than that. So what's been my journey so far? So I've just tried to capture something in terms of the academic years. So the first time that I went to the center and I saw all those students, so I had like 20 students from the 10th grade and about 10 students from the 8th grade. So for me, I'm highlighting those numbers because they seem quite high to me at that point in time. Because imagine a class, of 20 students who come from very diverse backgrounds. Some of them are academically good, some of them not so much. Some of them have that willingness and the desire to learn, and some of them just don't, right? So it started from there, and then I realized over the years that I wanted to focus more and more on a smaller group, which is why, as you see along the years, that I started requesting for a smaller focus group so that I could spend more time with those students. And since the center also started getting more volunteers in, they could take care of the bulk of the students. So essentially, I used to teach mathematics, physics, leveraging my engineering background and also a keen interest in math and physics. So I used to basically teach them over the weekends. And also towards the end, I moved on from the academic teaching and to what I'm doing. I'm still currently associated with them, by the way. So I moved on to mentoring as well. So what that essentially means is now remotely I'm in contact with just one individual, and I basically work with that student in order to understand what his requirements are, as to what his life aspirations are, giving the guidance in terms of the academic support or even just the general direction in terms of preparation, right? So I'm going to now touch upon my top 3 lessons. So the first one, I flicked the quote from Ra's al Ghul, I guess, from Batman Begins, always mind your surroundings. So what I mean by that is, and what I've learned personally from that, is about experience versus theory, right? We read a lot in maybe newspaper articles, in documentaries, in movies about the situation around us. But I guess for me, it had a deeper impact when I was in that environment, when I was hearing stories about my students, right? When I realized that there was pain in the eyes behind their smile on the lips, right? That is something that is quite deeply rooted in me even now, much more than what I read probably in newspaper articles or watching anything. So I think that was one key takeaway for me, that I know it's not possible to experience each and everything in life to really understand that, but I guess it's important to rely a lot more on that, since that's more deeply rooted in our minds, right? Which again led me to having a greater societal awareness and a general sense of empathy around me, and also in the way that I then started behaving with other people, having been working with these students. Again, I'm not sure if Harvey Specter really said this in Suits as they claim on the internet, but I like this quote. It is, don't raise your voice, improve your argument. I really love this quote. So again, I tried to take some of these transferable learnings back into my corporate life. So I was this guy, with I guess 3.5 years experience, then rookie, young, energetic, trying to stamp my authority in the team. And I probably used to get carried away sometimes, But then I started to realize that, yes, I do have a mark now. I've, made myself felt amongst, everyone, made my presence felt. I needed to move on to something else. I needed to develop that sense of composure, get better at problem solving. It helped me with my critical thinking as well, because when you're working with students, you have to explain it to them in a very simple manner, how to break down the question that's given. It could be a simple math problem, right? There is something that's given to you. There's something that you need to calculate. How do you really break what's given down, right? And how do you really come up with the equation that you need to, calculate something? So it's just about going back to the first principles, which is what we hear a lot in our MBA as well. Just go back to what the problem was. See how you can, break it down, and how you really develop that critical thinking in order to solve it. More importantly, how you communicate that. It's one thing to know something. It's another thing as to how you communicate that. I mean, I could be the smartest person around here, but what's the point if I'm not able to put my point across in a convincing manner, in a nice manner, in a manner that people can understand what I'm saying, right? Knowledge alone is futile without being able to communicate properly, right? The last lesson for me is, again, I love this quote a lot. Yep. If you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, you walk together, right? The first bullet point. Some of you might know that I like football, so I'm going to talk about it. Do I want to score a hat trick but see my team lose 4-3? Right? I don't know. It was after a point in time that I realized that no, it's great that I've probably scored a hat trick, good individual contribution, but ultimately the team suffers, right? So how do I make the transition from being individual centric to team centric? That was again a lesson that helped me in my corporate life. It helped me in get some leadership roles at work and sports. And again, there was something that I learned working together with all the students that I had, right? So that's pretty much it. My 10 minutes and 2 cents, and I just wanted to leave you guys with some of the memories of my times there. I debated with myself what should I write there, happy memories or not, because I'll be honest, not all of these memories were really happy, especially after knowing some of the students personally and what they have been going through. So there are happy memories and there are sad memories, but at the end of the day, it just goes back to what the title of my talk is. It's about deriving that inspiration and strength, no matter what, and just trying to do the best one possibly can. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ketan. Thank you for the amazing experience that you shared with us. This is for you, and this is for your room.
For your
Room.
oh, okay.
Thank
you.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
Thank you
will
so much.
we will leave the questions for Bruno because we are over time.
Yes.
So who is next, Tanya?